The university has invested highly in state-of-the-art equipment and facilities, as well as top academic and technical staff to facilitate students. To date, our students' films have garnered over 47 film awards from the both local and international film festivals.
And the echoes from the FESPACO in West Africa that just concluded this weekend are on the same tune. The African film industry is booming or about to boom. However, despite this great optimism, there are many reasons for caution. One of the main lessons from this report is that for the growth to be sustained and to be sustainable and for the film industry to reach its potential in Africa, there is one element that has to be reinforced. Training is the one aspect and the one element that without a doubt needs to be reinforced. And that applies to every level of the value chain, from directing to producing to acting, everything. And this is really the challenge that we have right now on this continent if we want to achieve the great potential of this industry. And so, based on that, we decided to put something together that hopefully will not be just a one-off. We're hoping that USIU will invite us again next year and for the other years to come, so that this program can become something that happens every year and that clearly makes a difference and has an impact in your careers. That's the idea, that's the goal of this program. We really appreciate that, and we hope that this week-long training, this intensive week-long training will meet your hope and expectations and hopefully even go beyond that.
I'm Bernard Owor. I'm representing the Department of Cinematic Arts at the United States International University, Africa. And we are hosting the Great Lakes Producers Lab training that will be running from today, Monday, all the way to Friday. And we're excited to have the trainers who have been facilitated by the French Embassy to come and just speak to us and our students on how we can move from pre-production of films all the way to post-production and into the international market. We realize that there's a lot of things that happen between the films themselves to the recipient. And that is an area that is going to be a really focus during these sessions. Participants should look forward to lots of things. They'll be watching films, from documentaries to feature film examples, and between those sessions there'll be discussions with the producers, with the makers of those films, and they'll be taken through the cycle of producing a film, marketing a film, looking for investors, and all the way to the viewers, the recipients of the film. And so it's going to be a very interactive session. They will learn how to pitch, for example. They will learn where to get funding. They will be taught where to really get investors. And you will notice that we're in Kenya. The East African region is a growing film market, but there is much that we can learn from the international participants, and we are very glad to have the French Embassy participating with the Great Lakes Lab, with the USIU, to just bring all this on board as a package to all of us, including our students.
How you present the stories, because as a producer, no matter what people think, we are talking about stories, and stories are the core of what we do. And a lot of time we are actually pitching in a way that normally directors would do, but we pitch all the time as producers. And the best thing you can do is to pitch a story, because the rest people just will come after. If they like the story, then they'll come to the rest and the other aspect. Nevertheless, we're between producers, so what I'm really interested in is like where you stand in your career, what are those projects, and how actually the stories that you're telling me today relate to your career and your objectives, or the objectives of your companies, and so basically a relationship in between you as producers and with these specific stories.
Hello, my name is Joachim Landau. I'm a producer based in Paris, France, and I'm here to be a mentor for the Great Lakes Trainings Program for producers. So I'm here to work with them and to find a way to make them pitching their stories, pitching their project the best way to make it happen someday, somehow. Very humbly and very modestly, I try to focus on African film industry, but I hate to say African film industry. For me, it meant nothing. You know, you have like 54 states, so you have 54 kind of industry. So I'm more keen to be focused on Southern Africa film industry. And as a French, as a fellow producer of filmmakers, I think there is a lot of stories to tell, but not in the European, Western, or whatever the point of view you can imagine. Yes, there is a long history of filmmaking in the continent, and I think now there is a momentum where, you know, filmmakers from the continent, especially English-spoken one, can speak up, make a statement, and have the story, their experience, an aesthetic point of view done for a lot of people in the world who could be interested by their point of view.
Filmmaking is all about time-lapse. You're talking about a story that happened in 10 years. You resume it in 1 hour and a half. It is to bring the storylines in another level that can be understood by anybody. The Chinese, the Senegalese, the Belgian, everybody can understand it. It just may be one shot. And most of the time, young filmmakers, they have this bad habit, I think, that it's just like they shoot and shoot and shoot because they think, okay, now I have a, you know, it's just digital, you know, so I can shoot 10 hours to make. You have, I shot a lot in 16 millimeter. In 16 millimeter, you have one roll is 10 minutes, right? Your SD card is maybe, I don't know how many hours. When we are using film stock, before you shoot, you are sure that this shot, you need it. Because the stock is very expensive. It is 10 minutes by roll. So you cannot make 20 takes.
My name is Juliana Kabwa. I'm one of the project managers for the Great Lakes Creative Producers Lab. We're currently at USIU excited to be launching our first edition of the Creative Producers Lab that's admitting participants from East Africa. We have basically 10 participants from all over East Africa. Well, we identified that there's a gap, in East Africa, that focuses on training for producers. You have a lot of trainings that goes into, cinematography, directing, but none that focuses on just, developing your producer, your East African producer. And just more to that is, we feel that, there's a gap in the kind of stories that we tell as East Africans. So, we have really good production values. Our cinematography is great, our directing is great, but sometimes our stories, in a sense, not all of them, lack depth. So we felt there's a need to create a lab that would help producers focus on, the story and the initial process of, creating, a film. So the gap also came about because, we looked at other stories from other regions in Africa, and we felt, there's just a need. We participated in a lot of labs from, all over Africa, and, identifying and looking at, other people's stories and looking at East African stories. We just felt there was a gap, when it comes to the creativity and putting the film together. And now this lab therefore came about because of just the need to fill, that gap.